It's Offside with Hawes and McGuire. All right. Here we go. Hey, welcome to Offside with Hawes and McGuire. I'm Hawes.
I'm McGuire. Couldn't wait to take my sip.
I know. Sorry, you go ahead. We'll start. Oh, wait. I am Hawes. Take a sip.
Okay.
Okay. Now, my turn.
I'm McGuire.
All right. We got to see. It's the choreography. You know what we need?
Yeah.
Debbie Allen from Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need her to do some or Paula Abdul.
Oh, we just need her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We certainly could do that. Okay, so tonight we have a couple things to talk about.
Yeah.
Big Vegas Dallas game coming up,
Massive.
and who'd have thought
Massive.
it'd be 3-2?
Definitely not us.
No, we were ready to go home.
We'll bet against what we say.
Well, Jamie Ben and I had a tee-off time.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he had to blow me out. It was like that's why he got the suspension, because he
needed to play with you.
He needed a round.
Yeah,
Needed
makes
a round
sense.
in.
Makes sense.
Well, he had to practice before our round. That
Right.
was it.
Right.
I'm very intimidating on the course.
What was that golf shot that you would call that? Yeah, you're intimidating. Yeah, he was going to cross-check you next.
Yeah, it's that was it was just I don't know. So a couple things though.
By the way, I will say, I want to give you credit. I think about a lot of things after the show's over that we've said, and you were steadfast in your thought that Pietrangelo's slash on Draisaitl was every bit as severe. And initially, when we did the show,
Yeah.
I didn't think so, and I thought Ben's certainly warranted it too. And you said, well, wait, Pietrangelo got one game for like a tomahawk on Draisaitl. So
you went back and looked at it.
I went back and looked at it,
Yeah.
which I'd not done since it happened, and thought, holy lifting,
Yeah. Well,
that was vicious, and
Yeah.
I just forgot in terms of just a few short weeks. You're going, wait, like Ben came down, and look, I really do believe there was malicious intent to do some damage there.
Right.
In the nature of the frustration that he felt, he'd given Stone a shot, and he was going to reinforce it. Something that we've seen, we've done, we've had teammates do in all our low levels of hockey, and we've seen it in the NHL multiple times. However, credit to you, I do agree with you now that Pietrangelo certainly, if you're going to give Ben two, especially in a later rounds, Chris, this is the thing.
If Pietrangelo got one, then Ben should have got one.
That's right.
And I absolutely think that it was a suspendable offense.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
But at the end of the day, it's over and he's back.
It's over and he's back, and they won 2 games without him in the lineup. I
know.
And he's the captain. You're going, oh my God, you're going to bring this guy back.
Well, so let's talk about the guys who actually stepped up. And you know what? So one of the things I put for the title of this is Who Shot JR?
Yeah.
Jason Robertson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, that kid, and I know we talked about while we were watching the game, you guys you weren't privy to that, but we were talking about that he missed his check on a couple of occasions.
He did.
On the goals against.
Yeah.
But he came back and he vindicated himself.
He did. And Ty Dellandrea, who scored the 2 goals
That's right, yeah.
in less than 2 minutes to give them actually the 4-2 win in that last game, is a kid that they just love to death. 22 years of age, good size, 6'1", 195, drafted 2018 first round, 13th overall in the Rasmus Dahlin draft, if you go by first overall, as Brady Tkachuk to Ottawa, whatnot, just to bring it back around to local. And, he was drafted 13th overall. He really didn't come out a junior in Flint. He wasn't one of these 130 or 40 point guys in junior.
Well, let's just say he was in Flint.
He was in Flint.
Flint was like problemed.
That's right.
OHL franchise, right?
Yeah, they had some issues there.
Yeah.
And you know what? At the end of the day, you could see in the interviews post game how happy, and all the stuff that came out post game, how happy they were. Not only that they seemed vindicated to a degree that they got the win for their captain.
That's right.
And then they really seemed happy that Dellandrea was able to contribute offensively.
Yeah.
He's only got 3 goals this playoff year, 2 of them in that game. Monster win.
huge.
Allows the series to continue.
Well, it's a whole new series now.
Well, it really is.
Even though it's a one game and it's an elimination game.
Yeah.
It has changed the momentum.
Well, Dallas is following the Boston Celtic blueprint right now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Boston had lost 3, won 3. No NBA team in franchise has come back from 3 down. At least in the NHL,
why do
there's
they
some
pronounce
history.
it Celtic, by the way?
Because it's
Celtic.
Celtic?
Yeah, it's Celtic, but then and I know we've always said
Anglicized version of it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think probably when and I actually don't know the origin of in terms of the history of when the team would have started, but I'm going to guess most of the organizers were absolutely hammered.
Well, listen, you know they are because their logo is a
He's
leprechaun.
Drunk. He's hammered
he's
too.
A drunk Irishman with a hat on. He looks like a leprechaun. And you know how much the Irish actually love us referring to them as leprechauns. Holy Christ! You want to get in a punch in the face?
I'll tell you, wanted to get a shot in the head back in the time frame, and my late father was alive. Yeah. I caught a few St. Patrick's Day, early in the day celebrations with him when we went out to a few bars before I would go out for the night, and he went back home because that's what he wanted to do was celebrate the rest of it with his wife, put on a little music that was near and dear to his heart.
And but in the bars, out and have some alone time. That's
yes, exactly. Liam, Mike, Sean. Get the hell out of the house.
Listen, it's St. Patrick's Day. I got one shot at your mother.
You want it? Exactly. I promised your mom I'd play with her tonight. But you know what he hated? He hated the food coloring in the beer.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
And a couple of the bars, you know, on March 17th, all they play is When Irish Eyes Are Smiling, and Danny Boy, which isn't even an Irish song, wasn't written by an Irishman. The guy who wrote it never even set foot in Ireland, but it gets associated, especially on March 17th.
Yeah.
And you as a singer, songwriter, would probably know a lot of this, and you were just in Ireland, so you probably know most of this.
You know what? I only know Ireland as an active observer, but I am not like. Listen, I am not I've been to Ireland several times, and I love it absolutely. Yeah. And it's my if I have a homeland, 100 and some years or 200, a billion years ago when dinosaurs walked the earth. Yeah. Actually, my family was in Ireland. That's when we had money. We had money before when dinosaurs were around, and then of course the Big Bang thing wiped out all of our assets. Yeah, that's what that was.
I'm going with that too. Then I'm gonna throw the McGuires in there.
So listen, I
got sidetracked there as I often do. Yeah, but Boston Celtics. Celtic is the proper pronunciation of it, but obviously it's never been the case. They were down 3. They've won 3. They've got Game 7 tonight. Dallas were down 3. They've won 2. They got Game 6 tonight. Yeah. So, they're following the Celtic blueprint here. We'll see what happens. But I think it's exciting. They probably deserved a better fate than to get swept, so they've proved it. Yeah. And if anything, I think something else that's going on as well, Chris, which we also see in hockey quite a bit, Vegas have basically become a 3-line team. And they collapse down low, which has been their MO all year. They block more shots than anybody because they clog more lanes than anybody, and they take more abuse in terms of shots, clogging lanes, taking up any shooting positions, and they block. And they're a 3-line team, whereas Dallas rolls the lines. We're talking about Dellandrea. He's a 3rd-line guy. He plays 15 minutes a night, despite the fact he doesn't contribute much offensively. Robertson did. Right. Dellandrea gets 2 goals for you. They get Ben back in the lineup. I mean, Hintz has been their number 1 guy through most of the playoffs. Yeah. He takes a night off, and Robertson picks up where he left off just regular season. We had a spectacular regular season.
Yes, he did.
And you need that guy. You can't roll through 8 weeks of hockey or less, depending if you make it to the final or not, without getting your key guys during the season contributing.
Well, you know what? There's a certain amount of, freedom, that comes with being in an elimination game. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
So, your back's against the wall, but you're playing with a little bit with...
When you got nothing to lose.
Is it house money? It's not really the right term,
No, it's not the right... But I mean, I know what you're saying. Like, it's like, you know what? We're expected to lose now. We're going down... and basically...
Well, Vegas were favored.
That's... for sure.
So...
But even when you're down 3-0...
Yeah.
Okay? Everyone's kind of written them off. I went to bed early in the 3rd game. I didn't catch the very end of it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day... There's that expectation, and then so once people stop putting the pressure on it, there's a relief, and the players can actually play and be who they are.
That's a good point.
Right? And you know what? And then you're not trying to clutch your stick too hard. You're not getting frustrated like Ben did. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're like, listen, if we win, it's a bonus.
Hey, 1 minor penalty last game.
Yeah.
One minor penalty last game, and really, there wasn't really a ton of hitting, really.
No, it was that. You know what? It wasn't a chippy game.
No,
there was not a lot. And when you
I think the Ben incident took some of that out.
Well,
almost.
So you're going to say it was a good thing that he did it?
Well, right now you'd have to say so. I mean, they won both games in the lineup.
Well, that's true.
I don't know what the hell.
Okay,
I mean,
so
it was
tonight,
one minor penalty last game.
So tonight, your prediction.
Oh.
You got to go with Dallas. I'm going Dallas.
I got to go with Dallas too.
Yeah.
I got to go with Dallas too, and I think I think Boston's going to complete the comeback in the NBA, and they're on home court, whereas Dallas is on home tonight.
Yeah.
And so if they can force a Game 7, they go back to Vegas. Anything can happen in Game 7.
Right.
If you've won 3, and look, we've seen that quite a few times, and then of course that the team doesn't complete all the way. That's why there's only been 4. But at the end of the day, yeah, I don't know how you don't go Dallas tonight. I suppose
I'm giving it to them, and only because that of the emotional boost that they have.
Yeah.
Like they were out of it. They won that one game, but then it was like they won one game, and then they won the second one, and you know what? They won it decidedly.
The other thing?
They dominated.
The saves by Hill, those first 2 saves that he made. One was on
coming across.
Yeah, the 2 very similar saves, both absolutely insane, ridiculous saves. And then he allows the first goal like he did.
It was weak.
It was not a good goal.
Well, no, the second goal was
the
even
second
weaker.
one. Was,
Which one are you talking about?
Talking about the one from the shot from the right side.
From the right side. So that
just got through him.
You know what? I think that was the second goal.
I think you may be
the
right.
first goal was the flutter over his shoulders.
Oh yeah, that's right. You are right. Yeah, that's right.
And which was not a great goal either, but it's where he was down, he was in, and he couldn't get to it. Like, you know what I mean? And you could see him sort of watch it go over.
Well, his numbers across the board for the breadth of the playoffs that we've seen so far are better than Ottinger's, and Hill has come in under trying circumstances, right? Brossoit gets hurt, and Hill comes in. I mean, Hill wouldn't even have been like if Thompson isn't out for the entirety almost of 2023 or however long he's been out. I mean, this guy was a Calder candidate all season while he was healthy, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
And so Hill's not even being thought about. And then all of a sudden now he's thrust into it and he's kicking out BBs. So what tonight?
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's pressure switching now to go to your point from 5-6 minutes ago.
Yeah.
The pendulum has swung here.
I think so. Now that being said, and I do call Dallas for tonight, but I still am kind of cheering for Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because, we kind of jokingly said we were going to go to Vegas and you were going to get some tickets.
Yeah.
And then my wife says, "You really want to go to Vegas for the thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually I do." So I actually have buy-in from my wife to hit Vegas. So, I mean, these things don't happen very often, right?
Well, I'll tell you what. If we can get there, I'll phone Butch personally and I'll get us tickets.
Well, listen, you get us tickets first. Okay.
Okay. Well, then they got to win.
Get us 4 tickets. We'll sell 2 to finance the trip.
Here you go.
Yeah. Is that what do you think? Is that fair enough?
That sounds fair.
Okay. All right.
That sounds fair.
Okay. Expect a call, Cassidy.
I got buddies in Vegas right now. Neil Minchell, who is one of the better amateur pool players in Ottawa.
Billiards pool?
Yeah, billiards.
Okay.
Yeah, he's down there shooting stick right now
Really?
in a major international competition. And a couple of other buddies. And Neil and I are classmates from St. Pius. We just had a reunion, our 5th one, class of 78. And another class of 78, Mark Cullen, is flowing down there to support him.
Oh, really?
And they're going to take in, Vegas. And Wayne Westfall is as a buddy.
I always find it very difficult
well.
I mean, it's a intensive physical regime involved in now is it billiards? Is it like 8-ball or does he play snooker?
No, it's not snooker.
It's not snooker.
Yeah.
The Brits love
the Brits love the snooker, and in fact, another friend, Steve McAllister, who's a hell of a shot, lives in Kentville now. Was just in a, I want to say it was a provincial snooker tournament.
Really?
Somewhere on the weekend. I don't know how he did, but I've played against him a bunch of times. Super shot. Neil I've never played, but he plays the 8-ball.
Yeah.
But Neil actually is down there representing his club team from Ottawa.
Really?
So the club team from Ottawa went to Vegas to compete.
Really?
Neil is not playing in the individuals. But anyway, we're talking about Vegas.
Yeah.
I got some friends down there right now. I suppose anybody can say that at any time. So, but look, Bruce Cassidy, longtime friend, Memorial Cup winner with the Ottawa 67s, 1984. And, blew out his knee playing ball hockey, of all things. And so he was up and down like a yo-yo. trying to make the NHL with Chicago, the Chicago Blackhawks. Never did, played in the minors, got into coaching. I think most of us are familiar with his resume from there, and it's been, I mean, this guy, Jaromir Jagr, killed him in Washington, and, he's one of those guys, cost him his job in Washington. He goes all the way back down and works his way back up to where he is now. So, much like Andre Tournier, he's getting a ton of love for what he did for Canada here in the Worlds, what he's doing in Arizona, what he did here in Ottawa as well to bring a 67 connection all the way around. I think Bruce Cassidy deserves a ton of credit too, as does DeBoer. But it's great. Both coaches are outstanding.
Oh, absolutely. Well, listen, let's face it. You don't get to coach at the NHL level and not be an outstanding coach, period. There's not a bad coach in the NHL.
Maybe Mike Milbury. That'd be the only guy.
Yeah, well, Mike Milbury got, well, you know what? Yeah. I agree. Except he's a Boston guy, so I gotta kind of defend him. But you are right, and you know what? He's actually a worse commentator.
He was a worse GM than anything.
Well, yeah, true. Now, listen. Speaking of which, you brought it up, and I want to bring it up. The World Championships.
Yes.
First of all, are they really World Championships when most of the good players aren't even there?
No. Well, it's World Championships because you've got 16 countries competing. All the best except Russia.
Yeah. Maybe wait 6 more weeks and have a real world championship. Maybe. What about that?
I'll tell you though, it's a farce in terms of especially this year was the worst in terms of lack of star participation. And I heard a good theory today, floated out that look, it's first real full year post COVID, and the first full real NHL season, 82 games plus, and a lot of guys begged off, and yet the guys who went. If you look, especially the Canadians guys.
They must have had a great time.
Well, Toffoli and Milan Lucic, 2 of the veterans on the team, for them to speak the way they did about the experience, they should bottle that. Well, and this should be your selling point for next year.
No, I didn't hear what they said, but I can only imagine. Here's the thing. You know what? Growing up,
Toffoli was a captain, by the way.
I bet he was. He was at 67 too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in Ottawa 67. There was 3 former 67 players on the team and the coach.
There.
Andre Tournier.
So, as we go through this, okay, the World Championship, Canada beats Germany, okay?
Yeah.
And first of all,
2-2, the
you
end.
got it. You have to love beating Germany. I don't care what it is. I go back to World War II, World War I. Love beating Germany. This was our Vimy Ridge. This was us kicking ass again. A rolling barrage of scoring is what I say.
Okay.
Sir Arthur Curry, I don't know if you knew that. That's how they took Vimy Ridge. Did you know that? You know the story?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
April 9th, 1917 started one of the most, maybe the defining moment in Canadian history.
Absolutely. Canadian military history.
Canadian military history.
And, well, it's where we not only, because others tried to take it. The Australians tried to take it.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Brits tried to take it. But Canadians did, and Arthur Curry, with the idea of the rolling barrage, took it. And now I'm going to tell you, this is an interesting piece. My grandfather was at Vimy.
Come on.
He tunneled. He dug the tunnels at Vimy.
Which, maternal or paternal?
My paternal. My grandpa Haas.
So he was a Haas.
He was a Haas, yeah.
What was his first name?
Malcolm Joseph Haas.
Malcolm Joseph Haas fought at Vimy.
Fought at Vimy. And
swear to God.
And Ypres. And was gassed at Ypres.
Wow, you never told me that before.
Wow, it's not something you go, hey, Liam, hey, how's it going? How are the kids? By the way, my grandpa.
Yeah, but you could stop me any time in my life and tell me that, and I would jump into that conversation with you. I don't care what I was doing.
And I knew, so my sister, who is military, she's actually a high ranking. She's done all the history and has all of his work and all his paperwork and everything. And on top of that,
let's toast him, man.
We will. And on top of that, Evan and I went to Vimy and walked those tunnels because they've solidified some of them, and we're in there where my grandfather was. And
really,
it's so eerie. It's so cool. And and this is the best part of the whole thing. So Evan was young because we were over in Europe playing hockey with him.
Okay.
He was invited over to Sweden to play hockey. Okay. And I got to coach. It was a world coaching thing, and it was great. It was awesome. Yeah. But we stopped. We went to France and we went to Vimy. So we get there. Not only does he recite, and he did a very good job of it, by the way, in Flanders Fields, on the site where John McCrae wrote the poem.
Wow. Right
there, there's a little dugout where they were doing surgery, and he walked out and he sat on this little hill, and right there, Evan was able to recite that. It was as a dad. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I cried.
Yeah,
I cried.
I would too.
It was an amazing experience.
I
it was
would have
so
too.
emotional.
Especially the tie-in with your family. Jeez.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not the only guy whose grandfather.
No,
fought in
no,
World
I know,
War I.
I know, but I'm
And
sitting
for-
beside one right now.
Yeah,
my grandson. So it
right.
means a lot to me because I'm a huge supporter of Canadian military, past and present. Our history means a ton to me. I think there's been a change. I feel there has anyway in schools and in the respect level that's been given to the vets. I think the size of Remembrance Day crowds has grown substantially in the last 20 years.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I don't think that, and I'm going to sound like Don Cherry.
Yeah.
Okay? But I'm telling you, I don't believe that the younger generation and, frankly, people who have not had a dog in the fight, had not had an ancestry that was involved in those conflicts, okay, give a shit. And it's actually upsetting when you see, and if you've ever been to visit these sites, you know how emotional it is. When you go to those fields, when you go to check out Passchendaele, okay, and you check out the streets of what was demolished, and they're still pulling ordnance out of the ground. They're still like,
I've heard that. You know, I've heard there's still, especially in World War II, I think there's a lot of areas where shells are still being discovered. But from World War I, there's still stuff. It's
absolutely
well, the footage you see, and then you hear about anybody who's delved into it at all. So it's
but we digress.
Big digression there, but I think well worth it. So honor your
we were talking
grandfather
about
there,
the
man.
World
Championships. A phenomenal win for Canada in a tournament that I classify on a good year as a B, this year maybe as a C. As I wrote on a thread, it's a bunch of threads online that I jump in periodically to help people understand international hockey and where and why Canada will always be number one, how always has been, and through the rest of my life will be, is I have to, point out some mistakes that people make factually about the past. But in this case here, the World Championships, and I said, look, I'm chagrined as well, and I'm upset as well that through the NHL, we haven't been given the opportunity to have these guys go. The fact that McDavid and Crosby haven't played in a best on best is borderline criminal from a hockey perspective. Yeah. Having said that, they both could have gone.
They could have.
I mean,
well, certainly Crosby,
and he's been before.
Yeah.
Like the team we had in 2015 is the best entry, even though we've won 28 golds. We've won 4 in the last 8 years and 3 silvers. Like we've won first or second 7 in the last 8 years in a tourney where. And in a lot of cases, it's just been like this, where you throw the guys together. Maybe you find some chemistry, maybe you don't.
Right.
Maybe you get a little bit of goaltending,
but that could
maybe
be fun
you don't.
too, right?
Well, I think so. The guys that go over, even when we don't do well, it's just the idiots now that social media is a thing, and everybody can grab their phone and make a comment in 5 seconds. Like, it just shows how the overwhelming majority of people's, whose names are Bob Bunch of Numbers. These people, they don't know. No, they just don't know hockey.
Yeah.
And years ago,
and they're hiding behind that screen name of Bob 67524.
Like imagine jumping all over Canada because they had a tough time with Latvia, who had gotten to the semis. I mean, give me a break. It was a great run by Canada. They rebounded from every loss.
But you know what?
They had.
Give credit to the Latvians too, right?
100%, Chris.
This is the thing.
They got to the semis. They beat Sweden.
Yeah. Now, who was coaching this particular team? Do you remember who was it? The Latvians in the Olympics was.
It was Craig Ramsey, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Canadian or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it was Ramsey this time. I think they had a homegrown guy this time. I'm not sure. I think he may have been in the tourney. I'm not even positive on who Latvia had as their head coach. It may have been Craig. I thought, man, I might have seen him on the screen.
But
they beat the Americans in overtime to win the bronze. They shut down the country today.
And the Finland.
It's a national holiday in Latvia today.
Is it?
National holiday.
See, you know what? You got to like a place like that.
Absolutely.
Now, that being said, it's also a national holiday. It's just bringing it all around. It's a
Memorial
national holiday
Day.
in the United States. Yeah. Memorial Day.
We should salute them.
And here
too.
we are talking about military history.
Yeah.
And you know what? We are partners, friends, brothers, sisters to the United States. And for anybody who doesn't
longest uncontested border in the world, right?
Oh, it is.
49th parallel.
It is, yeah. Until they get to the Lake of the Woods, and then it cuts down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they kind of fucked it up near Vermont. I don't know if you know anybody from Stoneham, but like the border goes right through the town. It's like you know what it was?
Ironic.
They could a drunk camel or a donkey went through the town and said, "I think I'm going to paint the border here." That's what happened. And you can go and literally on one side of the street it's the United States, the other side.
I've never been, but I've heard about that. You've been, obviously.
I've been.
Yeah.
But
because there is a Stoneham, Canada.
There is. Well, it is, but it's the same spot.
No, it's not. No. Stoneham, Canada is in Quebec.
Oh, okay.
And it's a little village north of Quebec City where my mother's from.
Oh, it's different. Okay.
It's a different Stoneham.
Okay.
Which is funny though that this Stoneham has got.
I
this
thought it was the same
content.
one.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know how they're. Anyways, it's interesting,
Yeah.
but we see a lot of similarities in the world in terms of historical or names of origins and whatnot. But that was a great Canadian win. They didn't roll over Germany. It was 2-2 ended 2. Yeah. They didn't roll over Latvia. They were losing in that game, not once but twice. And they got the win, Tournier and the boys. DJ Smith.
Yes. Was he part of the coaching staff?
Yeah, he was.
Hey, you know.
Absolutely. DJ Smith, who may be out of a job here in a month, you never know. I mean, if the Sens ever have...
You know what? I don't think
what
so.
a mess, eh? Sens ownership? The whole thing, Chris. Like, we were joking about throwing our names in. I mean, we may as well at this point. I mean, I swear to God, what an absolute colossal gong show it's turned into. But what a win for Canada, though. I'm all over the map here. But what a win. What a win. Our 28th overall, by the way. More than anybody. No shock there.
Now, but before we go on,
we were out of it for a bunch of years.
Because we're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
Okay, at some point. Because the reason we're doing the show early is because I'm going to play hockey. And we can't do it right at game time. And then I'll get home. I'll get to see the game. I'll have some pints, and we'll watch it at... I don't want to... Should I mention where I'm going to watch it? Or
yeah.
Is that... that's giving free advertising to Broadway.
Yeah.
In Barhaven.
Good.
By the way.
Good spot.
We're going to head there. And so now we had something else on our list there.
Yeah.
What was the other thing on the list?
That's a good question. There was international hockey.
Yeah.
It was obviously teeing up.
We were going to talk about the Senators thing, but we got... Speaking of it, here's what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had a little play on words there. A little dubious about Dubas.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's walk people through what the current...
We just want to keep this going because it's so much fun. You know, I mean, sorry, Leaf fans, it's kind of at your expense, but I mean, the guy has an emotional presser where he's saying he's never going to go anywhere else. It's like Matt Sundin, right? I'll never play for anybody else. You know, I'm part of the Muskoka Five, but I'm done now. And I just, guys, don't worry. You know, and then the blink of an eye, he's in Vancouver. But yeah, Kyle Dubas, certainly, we all know, everyone's heard the story now. He's been wined and dined by Pittsburgh. He's met with Sidney Crosby, and they are shutting down. As I haven't heard anything today. I haven't been on Twitter today. I haven't heard any updates of. I don't know if you have.
No.
But the last I heard is that Pittsburgh is actually shutting down until he says yay or nay, and they're going to try and get him. Tree Living is a front runner here in Toronto, and Chris, the July 1st is looming large, man.
Well, exactly. So if you're going to, it's a shit or get off the pot moment, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to be a team heading into the draft without a general manager and a vision.
No, especially Toronto, because of the no movement trades that are no movement contracts are about to kick in there. No movement deals are about to kick in, especially in the Matthews one because he only has a year left. Big decision to make there because what's an extension going to look like? And he's obviously looking for one in big dollars. That's got to be done. The GM has got to be in place to negotiate this and figure out what you're going to do. I know it's interesting to watch the Leaf bloggers. I get great. This is so much fun to watch how they're trying to manipulate, like they're trying to maneuver in position because they don't want to see a Florida-Calgary type scenario, despite the fact that Florida had tremendous success and Huberdeau, coming off a 115-point season, went and shit the bed in Calgary. Yeah. So they're desperately afraid, don't move our beloved Austin. Please don't move him. You know, they're so fearful of that happening. Yet, to be honest, I think from a Toronto perspective, is absolutely the best thing they should do, is move that guy. How many more examples do you need of a guy disappearing in the postseason?
Yeah. Well, he's no Ted Lindsay. Sorry, to bring up some historical significance there.
Oh my God, he couldn't carry Ted Lindsay's jockstrap. He's got talent oozing from his pinky finger. More than 3/4 of the league probably has in their body. But do you want to just look nice and pretty in the warm-up and score 2 goals and pick up 5 points, or do you want to do something in the playoffs? What do you want to do?
Well,
he can't do it.
Here's the difference is, I think we value the grit and the, I'm going to say the down-to-earth, like lunch pail, right?
Yeah.
The lunch pail ethic,
Yeah.
work ethic of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because the playoffs is different hockey than regular season. Let's face it.
I don't know how many more examples. It's 2023, and it seems like you
Right.
still got to point that out to people.
I know, but
And
that's,
Florida Panthers are epitomizing that.
That's right. And so, and this is the issue that we have during the regular season when there's a lot more room, and we saw it with. I like to harken back, and I like the word harken. By the way,
It's a good word.
It is a good word.
I always liked harken.
Yeah. But when you harken back to the Sens playoff run,
Yeah.
and when they were in the Stanley Cup Finals,
Yeah.
okay, against the Ducks,
Yeah.
okay,
07.
and
Yeah.
the Sens were President Cup winners that year, were they not?
No, I don't believe so.
I thought they were, but
No,
anyways,
they may have been.
They may have been. I
didn't
think they were.
so.
But
Okay,
they were,
maybe.
in my opinion, they were the greatest team in the history of the world at that time, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so we're there, and we went to see the games.
They
and
did have a great team.
But one of the things that they were not able to do
Yeah.
is they were not able to play in that tight checking. You know what I
Chris,
mean? There's always someone on
They
top of
couldn't
you.
find a way to get out of the
They couldn't
way
get free ice.
of Chris Pronger's elbow.
Well, there's some big elbows there. You know, You know what? I got to tell you. Here's the thing.
That series turned on one play, by the way.
Do you remember how-
Alfie shooting the puck at Niedermeyer is the
That was
TSN turning point of the series.
Well, I mean,
Sportsnet,
I think
TSN,
I think that was just a frustration point.
Doesn't
But
matter,
yeah.
but it changed the game because the Ducks wanted to kill Alfie. They went in between periods in a tie game, and Niedermeyer told the room, nobody does a damn thing. Nobody touches them. Guys, if we win this period, we go home up 3-1.
Yeah.
Win the period, which they did. And they went up 3-1, and they went home, and they won on home ice because Ottawa won Game 3, probably their biggest win in franchise history.
Yeah, that was
and
a
they
great
were
game.
right there in Game 4, and I was there. You were probably there.
Yeah, I was there.
It was tremendous theater. You're right. They were a hell of a team. They won all 3 rounds, 4-1, getting into the final. They got beat by a team that just had a little bit more gumption, led by Pronger. Should he have gotten more than the one-game hit? I think it was on McCammon. Maybe he'd already been suspended in the playoffs for one game, Chris.
But again, a different time. Too,
I
right?
know he moves it later in the
Yeah.
series, so say it's worth more. But
Yeah.
that's always going to be debatable. And even with him out of the lineup, it doesn't guarantee they win. At the end of the day, to me personally, Alfie shooting the puck at Niedermeyer is what turned that series around. Having said that, you're right. Look, this is a fleeting moment that you get as a team, and now you got 10 days off. Florida's going to have 10 days off.
A total of 10 days. Yeah,
total
that's
of
right,
10
yeah.
days. Because Ottawa and Anaheim had 10 days off
And
when they
that's-
played in
you know
07.
what? And that is going to be the toughest part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that is that they're going to be, there's a sedentary aspect to having time off, and you can go and you can work out and you can practice and you can do all those things, but at the end of the game, the intensity of a game and the intensity of playoff hockey,
Yeah.
okay, you need to maintain that. And I actually think that Florida's going to be a little bit of a limp dick in the first game.
Well, they probably will with that type of layoff. I want to just quickly give you the greatest layoff story in
Okay.
NHL history, 1966.
Okay.
Montreal Canadiens have 10 days off after winning the semis before they play Detroit in the Stanley Cup final.
Okay.
They open on Forum ice against Detroit. They promptly lose the first 2 games in the Forum. This is with Beliveau, Henri Richard, Ted Harris, Jacques Laperriere, Gump Worsley, all the guys, right?
Noel Price?
Noel Price was there.
60.
Noel Price was there. And they lose the first 2 games. So they go to Detroit for Game 3. They've got the 1 day off, right?
Yeah.
Jean Beliveau, the captain, goes to the general manager, only his 3rd year as GM, Sam Pollock, and he says, Sam, I need $300. This is 1966. $300.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Took $300 from Sam Pollock in between games 2 and 3, and he took the guys out. Not most of them.
Yeah,
all of them.
All of them.
Every single guy.
Yeah.
Took them out. And
Club Super Sex?
Well, no, it was in Detroit.
Oh, okay.
So wherever,
Yeah.
the equivalent probably.
Yeah.
And the boys,
They had a time.
Yeah. And then they won the next 4 games. And they won the Stanley Cup. Now, I always thought that was a fantastic story that was shared to me by Yvon Cornway, who was on that team, obviously, because he idolized Beliveau. And when he did the eulogy at Belleville's funeral, which is one of the greatest eulogies ever delivered that's been recorded, in my opinion, and he called Beliveau my captain, and because he was his captain. And even though Yvon became a captain after, and Henri Richard was before Yvon, and Yvon played with Henri and he idolized him as well, but Beliveau was the guy. Yeah. And Beliveau went to Sam Pollock, who was notoriously tight. Right. Imagine, but it was Jean Beliveau.
But yes, and you know what? I will say this about I don't know. I
love that story.
I don't know a lot about Sam Pollock, but there's 2 things that I do know.
Yeah.
Okay, one of them is that
don't make a trade with him.
No, yeah, true. Yeah. Okay, that would be the second one. He had great hats.
Yes, he did have great hats. Tom Blake had great hats too.
Coniston boy.
Yeah. Well.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So but the hats, they you know what? They had class back then.
Oh, they did.
They did.
Well, look at that. Everything was different. It was a different world.
I want to see one of the NHL Stanley Cup finalist coaches wearing a fedora this year.
That'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that? Awesome. And a full suit. I mean, Cherry's the last guy who really, jazzed it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do like the way, the formality that is still there in coaching. When you're coaching at the NHL level, they're still wearing the tie. And I think it's...
So do I.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great.
Don't ever lose that.
Well, do you know what? There's a lot of people who think that you should lose it.
I know, and look, we're going to lose a battle because ultimately that crowd is going to come in and push us older guys out in terms of what they want to see. You touched on some of it maybe in terms of the appreciation of military history.
Yeah.
I do think it's better, my own personal opinion. My kids went through, like yours did, the same time. I saw what the schools did. I speak at schools all the time.
Yeah.
And elementary, high school, colleges, and universities. At least a half dozen times a year I speak in schools. Now, it's largely about Canadian hockey history,
right.
But I never, ever, ever, not once, ever, will not do something or say something about Canadian military history.
Yeah.
Whether I'm doing something that's crossing the line in terms of saying it in front of a teacher that may be there that brought me in to talk hockey, and I deviate for a couple minutes to say, hey, look, just understand what these men and the women at home largely are in support roles in those days, what they did to help everything and about the importance of that. So, well, and I just think it's still, I think it's better. I really do.
No,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
Now, I don't know if you recall this, but Don Cherry and a number of NHLers, and I think Chris Pronger, who, by the way, I love him as a player.
Oh, so do I.
Okay. But and I think he was a part of this contingent that went over to Kandahar with the cup.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, and
he did.
And
he absolutely
did, and it meant a lot to the guys.
Yeah,
right. It meant a lot to the people, and I think that's an important thing. And that's one good thing that, and that's not NHL driven.
No,
that's actually individual driven. Whether it was Don Cherry or whether it was somebody else whose turn it was to have the cup or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Those are the things that individual guys do that make me proud that I'm a hockey fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. So listen, we got to cut out.
All right.
We got to cut out.
I know.
So again, we're predicting a Dallas win tonight.
Right. So
JR
means the series is over.
Yeah, exactly. and listen, if JR gets a couple tonight, he's going home to Sue Ellen. I can tell you that.
Oh man! And he's going to get shot. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
who shot JR?
That's right. Actually, you know what? Would somebody please comment, send a note if they remember who actually shot JR? Don't tell them. I know you know.
No, I remember that night. It was a Friday night. I was drinking at a bar in Richmond that's no longer open. It's called the Glass Boot Inn.
It's
called the Glass Boot Inn. I was drinking beside a guy named Danny Kelly from the River Road. And we were drinking quarts because they serve quarts, and I actually dropped my quart that night. It was the first time in my life I ever dropped a pint of beer. This case was a quart. And Hammer's his nickname's Hammer, never let me forget it. But that was the night that episode aired, which I think it may have been one of the most watched episodes.
Oh, absolutely.
In TV history at that time. Who shot JR?
Well, and then for the whole months around, it was the big
Larry
thing.
Hagman.
There were T-shirts and the whole bit, and
he was just the guy from I Dream of Jeannie. You know, and
Oh, he
now we're
became
really aging
iconic.
ourselves now. But I mean,
You know what I liked?
Barbara Eden.
The way. Oh, well, yeah, true. Yeah. No, but listen, Victoria Principal.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh
but,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, I like the way JR you say, Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby.
I'll tell you.
That's good. If we could get JR, like
He was-
if it ends up being a Dallas, Florida thing,
Yeah.
we'll get him to go to the goaltender. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, Bobby. Yeah. Bobby.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? We digress. I'm being immature now. This has
good.
been Offside with Haas McGuire. I'm Haas.
I'm McGuire.
G'day.
G'day.